Hello everyone, welcome to 6th class of IELTS Speed Up course offered by Thompson School. This is second reading class of our course, and in today's lesson we will focus on true, false not given, yes, no not given, and matching paragraph headings question types in details. First of all, I would like to remind you basic exam techniques that we have gone through before. You should keep in mind that these techniques are really useful and they increase your chances of getting high scores in IELTS reading. So you should always follow these exam techniques. And of course, you should never forget extra tips regarding your reading speed and of course strategies that you use in each passage. Okay, let's see how it looks like in IELTS reading. So you will be given passage followed by statements, and depending on information that you find in the passage, you should decide whether these statements are true, false, or not given. Okay, now I would like to focus on common difficulties that IELTS candidates may face in their preparation. So first, paraphrasing. You should keep in mind that statements that is given in your reading may differ from information that you find in the passage in terms of vocabulary that is used. So in order to excel at these question types, you should know your vocabulary. And second problem that students may face is they are not looking for meaning sometimes. So you should remember, look at the statements as a whole and try to match general idea, not just several words. Okay, now let's focus on the question whether true, false not given and yes, no not given questions are different or the same. Okay, you should remember that true, false not given questions are all about facts that you find in the passage. And when it comes to yes, no not given questions, this is about writer's opinion. So most of the time you can consider them as similar question types and you can use the same techniques. And of course, for this you can simply think of them as correct, incorrect, or not given. Now, taking into account that you can use the same strategy both for true, false not given and yes, no not given questions, let's focus on them in details. First of all, you should clearly understand the difference between true, false, and not given. When students have to choose the answer true, if the statement fully agrees with the information found in the passage, and you choose false when you find contradicting information in the passage, so saying the statement is false, and not given if you cannot find any information about it, and sometimes when it is not clarified, you should also choose not given. Now, let's go through several sample questions regarding true, false, not given. Here we have statement and information found in the passage. So first, we should analyze the statement. After finishing their tertiary education, all people had difficulties to find employment. And in the passage, we can see the majority of people who graduated university found it difficult to get a job. Here we have tertiary education that stands for university degree and employment that is good synonym for the word getting a job. Now we should focus on words the majority and all. Okay, these words are called qualifying words, and as you probably know, the majority means approximately 70% or higher, whereas all stands for 100%, and logically 70% and 100% are not equivalent, so the answer is false. And of course, you should always focus on qualifying words such as all, some, half, the majority, or the minority, because the single word can change the meaning of the sentence completely. Now, let's consider another sample question. Okay, here we have statement and information found in the passage again. So let's see what is given in the statement. The charity spends more of the money raised on schooling for poor people than on their daily requirements. And in the passage we can see the charity raises money to pay for education and the daily needs of poor people. Okay, here we have money raised on schooling and daily requirements. And in the passage we can see education and daily needs. Now let's take daily requirements as A and schooling as B. According to the statement, it says the charity spends more of the money raised on schooling, so B is greater than A. But in the passage we have information both about A and B, but their relationship is not clarified. So that's the reason why answer is not given. As you can see here, the difference between them is not clear and not clarified in the text. Now let's consider another example. Here we can see in the statement, at present in America, about 400 million acres of land is allocated for agriculture. So dedicated, devoted, or used for agriculture. In the passage we can see just over 400 million acres of land is being used for agriculture in America. And here we can see over 400 in the passage, and in the statement we have about 400. And you should keep in mind that about can be understood as slightly more or over, and at the same time as slightly less, as this word may refer to both meanings, and in the passage we have over 400. This is the match. We can consider this statement as true. Next question type we will focus on is matching paragraph headings. So the main task and idea of this question type is matching headings from the list and paragraphs in the passage. So how it looks like. You will be given list of headings followed by list of paragraphs. So paragraph A, B, C, and usually headings are numericals like 1, 2, 3 and so on. And then you will be given passage that is divided into paragraphs. So the idea is to match headings and paragraphs after reading the passage. Okay, now let's go through matching paragraph headings techniques. Okay, now first you should do this question type last if you have it in your reading passage. And the main reason is that if you do other question types first and then come to headings, you will be more familiar with the text. And sometimes students even can answer questions from their memory. Okay, next. Underline keywords in each heading on the list. This is very important because usually in the list of headings you may have similar ideas, and keywords are the words that make difference between them. So you should clearly state, underline them, and of course understand the meaning. Okay, so read at normal speed. This is highly recommended because if you're trying to read really fast, you may skip several important details. And next, main ideas of the paragraph must be always underlined or highlighted, because when you're matching the heading and paragraph, you should refer to these ideas quickly. And of course, compare all headings before you match. So it means you should check all the headings one more time. And of course, choose the best one. This is the logic of this question type. Okay, let's consider sample question. Okay, before you start reading the passage, you should carefully analyze list of headings, and if it is possible, it's always more effective and easier to paraphrase these sentences into simpler language, simple English, so you could remember them easily. Okay, let's see. The first one, the productive outcomes that may result from boredom. Okay, how it can be beneficial or useful, or in other words, positive effects of boredom. Next, what teachers can do to prevent boredom. I think this one is quite straightforward and simple itself, but if you want to make it even simpler, this is what teachers can do so their students are not bored. And the third one, new explanation and a new cure for boredom. So in other words, if boredom is explained in different way and there are certain new methods of avoiding the boredom, this is going to be your answer. And next, problems with a scientific approach to boredom. If in any paragraph in your passage, you find information when they are referring to the difficulties of defining the boredom by scientists, this is going to be your answer. Next, a potential danger arising from boredom. So negative effects that may negatively affect human beings. Okay, next, creating a system of classification for feelings of boredom. So whenever the terminology boredom is classified or divided into groups or types, this is going to be your answer. Next, age groups most affected by boredom. If you find information that certain age groups, let's say elderly people or teenagers, most of the time affected or suffer from boredom, this is going to be your answer. Next, identifying those most affected by boredom. So if in the passage, or let's say to be more precise in paragraph, you can find information about how to identify whether a person suffering from boredom or not, this is going to be your answer. Now we will move to the passage itself. Okay, let's refer to the text and we'll start from paragraph A. But before we begin, I want to give you a piece of advice that can save your time. Most of the time, but not always, you can find the answer in the first two sentences of the paragraph or the last sentence. But if you fail and cannot find the answer, you will have to read paragraph. Okay, so let's start. We all know how it feels. It is impossible to keep your mind on anything. Time stretches out and all the things you could do seem equally unlikely to make you feel better. But defining boredom so that it can be studied in the lab has proved difficult. Now we will move to the list of headings and match the answer. Okay, if you remember, we had keywords such as lab, boredom, and have proved difficult. So here we have scientific approach, and whenever you think about science, you simply visualize laboratories. So scientific approach refers to the word lab here, and problems can refer to the words proved difficult. And boredom has not been paraphrased, so the answer is 4. Okay, let's move to paragraph B, and as we did before, we will start reading the beginning of paragraph only. Okay, by asking people about their experiences of boredom, Thomas Goetz and his team at the University of Constance in Germany have recently identified 5 distinct types in different calibrating, searching, reactant, and apathetic. So here we have keyword types, 5 distinct types. And if you remember, I have paraphrased headings for you, and the word classification has been changed into types. So the answer here is 6, creating a system of classification for feelings of boredom. Okay, now let's consider paragraph C, and again we will read just the beginning of the paragraph. Okay, psychologist Sandy Mann at the University of Central Lancashire, UK, goes further. All emotions are there for a reason, including boredom, she says. Man has found that being bored makes us more creative. We are all afraid of being bored, but in actual fact, it can lead to all kinds of amazing things, she says. Okay, now moving to the headings, we can see that we had keywords such as making us creative and amazing things. And these words all stand for productive outcomes. So, amazing things and creativeness. Okay, so the answer is number 1. Now we'll move to paragraph D. Okay, psychologist John Eastwood at New York University in Toronto, Canada, isn't convinced. If you're in a state of mind wandering, you're not bored, he says. In my view, by definition, boredom is an undesirable state. That doesn't necessarily mean that it isn't adaptive, he adds. Pain is adaptive. If we didn't have physical pain, bad things would happen to us. Does that mean that we should actively cause pain? No. But even if boredom has evolved to help us survive, it can still be toxic if allowed to fester. And okay, here we have several keywords. First, undesirable state, so unwanted. And again, toxic, meaning this is negative. And if you remember, among these headings, we had a sentence about negative effects of boredom. Okay, this is the fifth one, potential danger arising from boredom. Okay, let's move to paragraph E. Eastwood's team is now trying to explore why the attention system fails. It's early days, but they think that at least some of it comes down to personality. Boredom proneness has been linked with variety of traits. Okay, so what they want to say in these sentences? They want to say that boredom affects only people with certain personality and traits. And if you remember, we had 8 heading identifying those most affected by boredom. So different people are with different personalities. So the answer is 8. Okay, let's move to the last paragraph of the passage. Psychologist Francois Wemmelsfelder speculates that our over-connected lifestyles might even be a new source of boredom. In modern human society, there is a lot of overstimulation, but still a lot of problems finding meaning, she says. So instead of seeking yet more mental stimulation, perhaps we should leave our phones alone and use boredom to motivate us to engage with the world in a more meaningful way. As we can see here, paragraph is divided into 2 parts. First part is focusing on the issue, the reasons, okay? And the second half is focusing on the solution, okay? And moreover, we have here new source of boredom, so it is new reason. And again, here we have, so instead of seeking yet more mental stimulation, so instead of using traditional or old method, we should leave our phones and try to engage with the world in a more meaningful way. So instead of using old method, we should try new method. Okay? So here we have heading that is also consists of 2 parts, a new explanation and a new cure for boredom. So the answer is 3. As for homework, you should visit IELTSonline.com website and go through the question types we covered in today's lesson. And of course, do not forget to send screenshots of your results to the group. Remember, you should analyze each question carefully and practice on a daily basis. This is the end of lesson number 6. Thank you for your attention. See you next time.